Hello and welcome to this session on leadership, where we're focusing specifically on team development. How do we reset, rebuild, or reunite a team that's coming together again? I'm Brian Sampson, and I'm the founder of Hawkesbury Consulting, a company that specializes in leadership development, coaching, and senior team performance. Today, we're going to focus on three things. Firstly, what successful teams do really well. Secondly, what transitions people can expect to go through when even small changes happen. Finally, we'll talk through some practical steps for developing your team. So the session will last for about 15 minutes, and in that time, you'll be encouraged to reflect, learn, and do. You will definitely find it useful to take notes as we go. And you can pause this video at any point, make some notes, rewind, or replay specific bits again. So first of all, we're going to talk about a specific project that Google started in 2012, Project Aristotle. Now, it had the aim of using data and analytics to find out what makes the team really effective. So data from over 180 teams was gathered together over 2 years. And teams were a mixture of specialisms, seniority, tenure, and also maturity, which is just how long they've been together. So the findings showed 5 areas appear to make a difference to team success. And in order, they were psychological safety, which can be described as the willingness of team members to share their vulnerabilities. It's a measure of the environment where people feel accepted, respected, and valued for who they actually are. The second point on trust talks about the level of interdependency in the team. And we can think about this quite simply as how much of a team member's work relies on contribution of other people in that same team. It's a measure of how many co-joined shared goals we have. And in order for me to succeed, I need the support of other team members. The third one here is around structure and clarity. And it talks to the fact that a successful team needs to understand what it's trying to do. Who has accountability and responsibility for what? What's our operating model? What are we trying to achieve and over what time period? What's our speed, distance, and direction that we need to travel as a team? 4 and 5 here are really connected to, are we doing meaningful work? And can we see the fruit and impact of that work very, very quickly? So we can easily test this. If you think back to a team that you were in, that you thought was succeeding, or you just really enjoyed working in, it's very likely that to some extent these things were much higher rather than lower. And this is really good news for us because it's relevant for a team's leader when resetting or reuniting a team. So let's just consider some of the changes that people can experience as they go through small changes. And this was put together by change consultant William Bridges in the 1990s. And he talks about how people going through change go through a series of transitions from letting go to a neutral zone before moving on to a new beginning. And I really like this. And I think the benefit of thinking in this way is that it encourages our understanding of how people feel as change unfolds. And it's useful to remember that people will go through these transitions at their own pace. So let's just take a look at this in more detail. So ending and letting go relates to when change is first experienced. It's that area and time where people get a sense of something has or is about to end. Emotions can sometimes be very high in this state, but interestingly, they can also be very positive or very negative. And if a change is unwanted, for example, or unclear, then feelings of fear, sadness, and loss can be present. However, if the change is wanted and anticipated, then happiness may be present. But it's also useful to note that if people are wanting the change to happen quickly, then frustration and impatience can actually arise if the change isn't moving quickly enough for them. So with this and the other stages, it's important to have regular, good quality contact with the team and individuals, just to understand how people are feeling and what they might want and need at any point in time. But it's also useful to remember that for people to move on, they go through what Bridges calls a neutral zone. This is the link between the old world and the new world. Here, people may actually harbour quite strong resentment towards the change, or indeed people that they feel are responsible for it. Morale and productivity can sometimes be low, yet anxiety may be high. But on the positive side, this is a time rich with opportunity for the team's leader, because it's a time to encourage and support individuals to try new ways of working, new ways of thinking, and new ways of being. Making sure that you're accessible and visible during this period can be critical in enabling people to move on to new beginnings. Your role may be as simple as reminding people how much contribution they actually make to the team and the importance of that. And just be mindful of practical steps that you can take as the team's leader. Simple things as changing or flexing deadlines, perhaps deprioritizing work, just to allow more time and focus for well-being. The final stage here is where people actually move on to the new beginning. It's a sense of rejuvenation, perhaps an openness to learning that wasn't there before. People may experience higher levels of energy and also commitment to the team as they reconnect to it. Here the team can focus on early wins for their effort and to foster a sense of meaning and impact, which you'll remember from Project Aristotle were some of the things that contribute to successful team working. So I'm just going to cover some very simple things that you can do to support yourself and others through a period of change. And it's worth recognizing that different reactions and experiences can arise. So here's some tips that you can use to improve the probability that people will experience changes in a very positive way. So the first is, and this may sound simple, but is just staying patient. As the team's leader, you may not have the same level of change as the rest of the team, or it could be that you're slightly ahead of the curve because you're more familiar with it or had more time to deal with it. So just slowing down and allowing people to transition at a pace that suits them can be really useful. Secondly, think about what you can control, just to take the pressure off. As we mentioned earlier, is there a deadline that can just be relaxed? Is there work that can be delayed? How can we deprioritize something? Also, think about your responsibilities as a line manager. Pay attention to fatigue. Who's working longer hours? Who's not taking holiday? Who's showing a radical change in behavior? And you can use your one-to-one time with people just to find out how they are. Tip 3 here is connected to achievement and satisfaction, and also celebrating. Set some micro goals for the team or specific individuals that just allow early wins to be chalked up. This in turn allows people to get a sense of having done something meaningful, which can really positively influence our self-esteem and self-image. And finally, support the team in creating a rhythm where they can talk openly and express concerns and feelings in a safe way, where they can ask questions. Sometimes these questions won't have answers or can't be answered, and that's fine. There's value in people feeling that their concerns match other people's and that they're not alone in how they feel. Sometimes it's simply important to feel understood. So if you want to pause there and make some notes, that's absolutely fine. But we're going to finish with summarizing some activities that you can do very, very simply, no matter whether you're resetting or reuniting a team again. And the first is around building rituals. Find something that works for you and the team. How will the team separate home time from work time? What are the boundaries that need to be respected? When the team come together, whether that's physically or whether it's a virtual team, what is the purpose of those coming together? How can you regularly engineer unstructured time, perhaps just for informal social time and connection? In finding new rituals, it's important not to rush back to how things were before. So maintain everything that was appreciated and worked well, yet just acknowledge some of the things that didn't work so well that you'd rather be different. As a team, think about how you create a sense of team membership. That is, feeling a part of something important, something to feel proud about. So useful questions here are, what is the team here to do? How do people emotionally connect with the purpose? Is there a legacy that the team wants to be responsible for? The third point here is critical for team development, yet is often underused by the team's leader, but also individuals. It's maximizing one-to-one time. If you're the team's leader, think about how you use time in a one-to-one to understand how people are. Do you focus conversations on task and non-task topics? In rebuilding a team, it can be useful to remember the basics. Keep work flowing, of course, but also talk about career aspirations, development opportunities. What do people hope for the future? One-to-one time is an opportunity to really find out the details that allow you to get the best from your team members. And finally here, try creating a team charter that just clarifies expectations of everyone in the team. And this can be particularly useful if reuniting a team together again. So a charter provides a way for the team to gently hold itself to account on things. And I'll just show you a brief example of what might be included in a team charter. So when it comes to a team contract like this, it's important to capture what's right for the team, but here are some ideas just to get you thinking. You might want to include a statement about why the team exists, a positive, high-level statement around the future. You might think of this as the team mission statement. You could also think about, what is it we're here to do? What are we trying to achieve? So this might be slightly more detail about the positive outcomes and goals that the team is aiming for. Next, you might want to include a snapshot of what the team is actually good at, what this unique team can actually do that other teams can't do. It's the unique selling point of the team. The fourth point here is, when we do come together, how do we want to be when we interact with each other? Are there behaviours and mindsets that we want to uphold? The fifth thing here is really our plan. You might want to include some very high-level deliverables with timings against them, just so everyone in the team knows exactly what the priorities are. And the final one here is just a list of who the team actually is. So rather than a sense of signing up to the contract, but that is useful, it's also a sense of, this is where the boundary of the team lies. This is who is actually in the team. So as I mentioned, these are just ideas, but they're really good just to get the conversation started. So we're coming to the end of this module now, and it's useful to reflect briefly on what stood out for you and what you feel motivated to try. And after the session, you'll find it useful to review any notes you've written and consider what you would do with these new insights. And now we have come to the end. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to develop yourself with me. I'm Brian Sampson of Hawkesbury Consulting, and today we've been looking at team development with a specific focus on resetting, rebuilding, or reuniting a team. So once you've finished this video, try to stay in the learning zone just a little while longer. Write down a commitment that you will hold yourself to do. What could you easily try for the next 30 days just to see what happens? Write down that commitment and share it with somebody else. So here are some contact details for you on the Leadership Academy and also myself as your facilitator today. Remember to look out for other leadership sessions like this on the Leadership Academy, and also the leadership guides, which cover topics from coaching to creativity to well-being tips and emotional intelligence. Thank you.